You can see the kind of destruction there in Haiti as compared to Bhuj earthquake in Gujarat. The entire this president's palace was collapsed in earthquake. You can see the president's palace in Haiti, and this is how the people were shocked there. Building collapses during the earthquake in Haiti. You can see this is the site of the entire earthquake site. Even 2 years later also they were just finding the bodies inside the debris. Even after 2 years, they were trying to clear the debris even continue to clear even after 2 years. So this is the situation in Haiti. If you compare Haiti rescue operations compared to our Bhuj earthquake in Gujarat, we did the comparative analysis of both search and rescue operations and reconstruction operations. Gujarat fared much better than the Haiti. With the same magnitude of earthquake, actually it was a little less than the Gujarat earthquake. Here, almost 3 out of 5 people were severely injured or dead in this incident. But in Gujarat earthquake in Bhuj in 2001, only about 20,000 people were, 15 to 20,000 people were dead, and about 2 lakh people were affected. Here in Haiti, in the entire country, out of 30 lakh people, that means about 5 to 6 lakh people were completely either dead or severely injured in Haiti. That means out of 5 people, 3 people were not there. 2 to 3 people were not there at all. So that was the situation in Haiti as compared to Gujarat earthquake. You can say Gujarat was better than the Haiti in terms of managing the disaster. Just I wanted to tell you that. In Karnataka, we had many disasters. I don't want to go into this because it is a national program. Just I want to say that Karnataka is also vulnerable to floods. It is actually a drought situation here in shaded areas. 19 taluks were affected by drought in 2016. In 2019, most of the, you can see here, most of the entire Karnataka state is affected by flood completely. 103 taluks. And if you can see the Karnataka states, this one as far as wind and cyclones are concerned, this is basically coastal belt actually. Coastal belt is vulnerable to cyclones, and we can also experience the departure from the normal rainfall. You can see the normal rainfall here, both deficit rainfall as well as surplus rainfall, both are there. Whenever there is a deficit rain, and in the same year also every year, there is both drought and flood in Karnataka state. Karnataka stands second in terms of drought in the country after Rajasthan. You can also see the tremors here, with the district of Karnataka. You can see the kind of tremors, earthquake tremors in different districts. This is the Karnataka's seismic profile. You can see the shaded area here, shaded area. This is more vulnerable to earthquake. Moderate risk is there. Up to 6.9 on the Richter scale can be possible in these shaded areas. But the remaining 80% area is less vulnerable to earthquakes in Karnataka state. If you take the entire country as a whole, entire country is divided into 4 zones now. For zone 1, which was declared as safe zone earlier, has been removed from the map now. There are only 4 zones now. It starts from 2, 3, 4, and 5. 2 is less risk now. 3 is moderate risk. 4 is high risk, and 5 is very high risk. Karnataka is in the zone 3, and it is moderate risk here and less risk here. Zone 2 and zone 3. Hello. So these are the areas which are damaged by hailstorm in Karnataka state. Hailstorm, Alikal Male anta karitivalla, the hailstorm. Due to hailstorm, you can see here how the damages have happened to the crops, different crops, papaya, even banana, grapes, and many more other crops. Even jawar crops completely fell to the ground. When elephant attacks on the human beings inside the city of Mysore, here, Mysore city, killing the security guard. This is elephant corridor here. Man-animal conflicts are also included as disasters. So it's one of the major disasters in this particular area in Mysore region, Bandipur Tiger Reserve and Nagarhode National Park. Both are vulnerable to man-animal conflicts. You can see the kind of deaths of human deaths due to human animal conflicts in the last 5 years. Elephant deaths, you can see here, it is increasing actually from 12 to 29 now. Tiger also is now 5, leopard 6, bison 2, crocodile 3, sloth bear 3, wolf 1, deer, wild pig 2. So like that, it is increasing from 26 to 51 now. Deaths, different animal deaths. So due to human-animal conflicts. It is human deaths, now animal deaths you can also see, animal deaths. You can see the elephant deaths, every year it is increasing. You can see leopard deaths, tiger deaths. These are natural deaths and unnatural deaths. What do you mean by unnatural deaths? Natural deaths means due to age or due to their health condition, they'll die. What do you mean by unnatural deaths of elephants?
Unnatural accidents and poaching.
Yeah, poaching, poisoning by the people, shooting them.
Then electrical wire.
Electrocution by the people. They electrocute them and kill them in the area. So due to that reason, many animals have died. So we are also killing them. They are also killing us. But we are killing more number of animals than they kill us. That is happening every year here. Okay. Why animals are coming into the human habitat? That is a big issue actually in the days to come. I do not know the encroachment on the forest areas. They don't find adequate food, water. So they just want to come into the human habitats. That is a problem here. You can see here how the human deaths due to elephant attacks on the way to, while they are moving on the way somewhere. They also damage the banana crop here, you can see, elephants. So we now come to landslide areas in Karnataka. So we have about 3 to 4 districts are very much vulnerable. About 23 taluks have been declared as landslide prone areas in Karnataka state. Just I wanted to tell, road accidents are also there. Industrial accidents are also part of our life. This is the drought kind of situation here. You can see the kind of pomegranate being completely dried up due to water shortage. This is a drought situation actually. Mango being in Kolar, mango is growing very much there, but it is dried up now. So, like water tanks in Bijapur district dried up. There is a shortage of water, drinking water. So that is a problem. Fodder problem for the cattle. So in Koppal district, in Karnataka or elsewhere also, in Maharashtra also, everywhere. So fodder problem will be there during the drought situation. So there is a problem. So if all these kinds of problems are there, we declare it as a drought, including the water shortage for the rainfall shortage. More than for about 30% deficit rainfall is there, we declare it as drought, actually as per the guidelines. One is shortfall in the rainfall by about 25 to 30% from the average. Then groundwater situation, surface water situation, reservoir levels, vegetation index, moisture content in the soil, and also sowing area. So these are the factors we consider for declaring the drought situation. So whether it is severe drought or moderate drought is declared based on these factors actually. Next we'll go to the flood. You see Jamkhandi, how the cattle are floating on the water during flood in 2005. Such a drought, such a flood situation. You can see the hailstorms in different districts. You can see that this is kind of a big size hailstorms. You can see that this is a very big size here. How it has fell. If it falls on the head, then people will die. That is the situation. In India, you can see how the hailstorm has fallen there. India being in the northern Karnataka, never experienced such a situation, but it has experienced like this. They're clearing it with bulldozers. What happened there? Is it visible?
Yes, sir, visible, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It is browsing actually. I just wait. Okay. So I just want to take you to the Bellary building collapse. In Bellary, there was a building actually in 2010. I just want to share this how the building can collapse and cause loss of life and property. It was in 2010 actually, early morning, the building collapsed. Ground floor, first floor, second floor were completely collapsed actually, like a pancake pattern. Third, fourth, fifth floor resting on the collapsed portion. Part of the building fell over the adjacent single story. Also, they also killed the other people also urgently. This is the building you can see here, how the pancake collapsed here. So all the floors are resting on the ground floor. So this is the situation here. You can see it's an under construction portion of the building. And how the building has collapsed, why the building has collapsed. We came to know that, based on the investigation, in the first floor and second floor, they have stored more number of bags of cement and steel. So it could not withstand the heavy load. Also, there was another reason that they have gone for fifth floor without permission, illegal construction. So maybe the foundation was weak. Building materials were also not up to mark. Extra load, that is cement and steel, which were just dumped on the first and second floor. These were the reasons for building collapse there actually, and how it was rescued, how the building was restored, how the people were rescued from the building, collapsed building. You can see here. So these are all people from NDRF, NDRF people were there, National Disaster Response Force. Our own people were there also. NDRF, you can see here NDRF. So all of them were there, including our own local fire and emergency services. They were able to rescue the people from the building, from the debris. On reaching the stop, they made the survey. The entire building, entire site, they made it into four quadrants rather, east, west, south, north, and in a shift 24/7 they worked actually, NDRF people, to rescue the people from the debris. You can see the both disaster, many people were handicapped like this because of the collapse of the building. They were trapped, and one person was actually stuck inside, and a beam was resting on his hand. He was crying to cut off his hand, and he was asking the people to rescue him. So that was the situation. Finally, it was local anesthesia was used, and the hand was cut off, and both hands portions were taken to the hospital. On the way, he died actually. So this is the situation of building collapse actually in Bellary. I already told you, no permission for fifth floor. Building was built on a marshy land. Poor planning of the building, lack of approach roads, poor construction materials, uneven storing of the ground and first floor, with 40 tons of cement and 42 tons of slabs. Even steel was also there. So these were the reasons for building collapse. Nowadays, I have seen many people. Very recently in Davangere, we had gone there, and this film actor was there for some occasion. Most of the people, students from the colleges and from the schools, were climbing up the under construction building actually to see him. So what will happen? Teachers were not even aware of how to prevent the students from climbing up the under construction building. So thousands of students were there in that building. The building is to collapse. If it collapse, what would happen? So that it becomes a disaster actually. So we need to be very careful, particularly in educational institutions. Students should be aware what will happen if they go like that. I will go to the Kodagu landslide now. Kodagu landslide, how it is. Kodagu means it is very near to Mysore, 4-hour journey from Mysore. Kodagu is vulnerable to landslide every year now. 2018, there is a huge landslide and flood. 2019, there is a huge landslide and flood. Even this year also there was some landslide. Every year there is to be landslide. But 18 and 19 there was a huge landslide. It is 18 actually. 2018 experience I am sharing with you. So I'll just go through this. This is the situation you can see. How in 2018 the flood has happened, landslide have happened. You can see here. The river course, it brought mud along with it and it has changed the river course. The river course itself changed its direction due to the heavy debris mass movement of the soil. Most of the trees were fell actually on the way. Why this has happened? This old lady, you can see here, old lady. She doesn't want to come. She did not want to come out of the house. So in our village. So they were just the people were struggling to bring her out of the house. But she remained there, and then finally they forcibly brought her. Otherwise, in another 5 minutes, she would have been killed because the building collapsed there. So these are the situations. This lady actually. This is old lady. This one. So in villages, people do not want to leave their houses, irrespective of what happens, no matter what happens to them next moment. That is the problem with the people there, actually. You can see how the preventive measures are taken place after that in the Kodagu flood here. So they are providing the food grains, medical aid, and all that. Everything is provided here. It is still a relief shelter actually. Kodagu. Relief shelter means you call it as Kalaji Kendra. So there also we studied that. We went there. We did a report. In that report, we came to know that most of the even pregnant women, aged persons, disabled persons, everybody was put inside this whole big hall. That was the problem there. There was a lot of issues with reference to pregnant women and aged persons. Because they did not have proper facilities inside the relief shelter. So they were suffering, and another important problem observed here is that food was not properly distributed. Materials were not distributed properly to all the relief shelters because that was not properly managed. Some relief shelters got more, some relief shelters didn't get adequate materials. That was the problem here while managing the disaster. Just want to share with all of you that in disasters, these things are going to happen, and one should manage them properly, systematically using proper technology, like Access or Excel, whatever. Some minimum, at least some computers should be used to maintain the data, how the materials have come, how they are distributed, where is the necessity, how the rescue vehicles are tracked, ambulances are tracked. Everything should be properly monitored. Otherwise, in such disaster situations, what will happen is, if we do not keep the track of vehicles and food grains, etc., there will be a lot of problems. That has happened here also, actually, that year, 2018. So why the disaster happened in Kodagu, landslides? The reasons being that, we came to know that there was a lot of cutting of the trees for resorts and other buildings. So as a result, many of the buildings, illegal constructions along the river course. All those problems were there. So this has happened, and these were the preventive measures. They have taken some of these temporary measures like this, so that they do not breach again. And finally, there was a construction. Actually, about 800 houses were constructed for those who have lost their houses in the neighboring land. One of the best practices, actually, not this. The houses I will show you later how the houses are constructed. Multi-disaster resistant houses were constructed for the people who have lost their houses at a cost of 10 lakh rupees per household or per house. It's very one of the best structures they have built actually there. You can see the urban areas also. Urban areas are no, they are also facing a lot of flood. Bangalore flood actually. How they are being rescued. City. What are the reasons for urban flood in Bangalore? It is, you can see here how the culverts have been completely blocked. No free flow of water in these vents. So this is another reason why the floods are happening in cities. You can see almost this particular manhole is blocking the free flow of water here also. So these are the reasons for flooding in Bangalore. Here you can see how the flood, the sewage is mixed with storm water, and how it is dilapidated, and this wastewater was going inside the bathrooms of the people here. So along with snakes and scorpions, everything. This was a problem there actually that time. People are encroaching the stormwater drains by putting up some shelters like this. They are encroaching illegally these buildings. There was a shopping complex exactly in the stormwater drain here in Bangalore city, in one of the areas, JC Road. So illegal constructions coming up on the stormwater drains. We are almost collapsing actually, but still people were living in that house. Nobody knows who is the owner of this building. They were not able to tell us. They are saying that they are there for 30 years on rent, and they are doing some business there. So this is the situation there in some of those areas. You can see how the buildings are constructed in putting up some small poles, stone poles. They are going to be a disaster by themselves in case of collapse. You can see the kind of pipelines laid across the stormwater drains. If you lay pipelines like this from BSNL, from electricity, water supply, and all the private players, mobile players, everybody, they put up their lines here. So it was actually putting the barrier for the free flow of water there. That was also one of the reasons for flooding there in Bengaluru. They were doing that temporary kind of sandbags here, not to protect the breaching of the water tanks. You can see here how the stormwater drains like this. Earlier, we call Raja Kalways. Stormwater drains were like this, the free flow of water. There was no problem at all. Water used to percolate, and vegetation was there around, and water used to move freely, rainwater. Now it has become like this. So now we are done like this, and free flow of water, no percolation, solid waste, dumping, everything is there in this. I'm not going to this because I don't know. You just tell me if it is opening. No, it's not opening. So we'll go to the next one. You can see the kind of structure coming up on the stormwater drain here. So even nobody can notice here. There is a building here. It is also difficult for the BBMP to go and search for such buildings. Very difficult because in case of flood, it is very difficult for these people and also for the other areas, neighboring areas. So what is necessary for all of us is to do the mock drills, whether it is a school or college or any village, gram panchayat, institution. We need to do such mock drills regularly. Women or male, whoever it is. If you do that, now they are doing first aid here, drowning cases. They are doing first aid. So first aid skills should be known to all of us. That is very important. And you can see here how the students are being given the awareness being given to the students here. You can see how the building is constructed, how the LPG is, cylinder is used, how the fire extinguishers are being used. All this training is necessary for the students and teachers in educational institutions. Otherwise, there will be a lot of problem. One should see this. So there is a disaster management on the one side and development on the other side. So both are actually going against each other here nowadays. So this is the problem. I ask you one question, whether development leads to disasters? The development leads to disaster or what?
Yeah, it does,
Yes,
sir.
yes, it does, sir.
It
Unplanned development
does.
leads to disaster, sir.
So
But
what-
the development should be a sustainable development,
Sustainable
which we have
development.
not. Which
So how
which
do
was
you
not.
take care of development and disasters together?
Should be constructive, sir. It should go hand in hand.
So how are you going to ensure that in development programs and projects and schemes and etc.?
Sir, as you said, actually in the Bangalore, they have already made it so compulsory that rain harvesting compulsory that has to be, implemented while doing the construction. And also on the road, they are not allowing the cars to be parked. So first, at the ground floor, they have to make a parking area. Then they have to build houses. Such kind of strict actions have been implemented already. So where these kind of practices, will definitely help us to go with managing the disastrous situation.
Now I just shown you the Bangalore flooding situation. What are the reasons for flood in Bangalore?
Yes, sir.
Now,
Over
now how are you going to? What would be the possible measures to be taken up now? If I ask this question, how are you going to recommend to the BBMP that you are the expert? Like 30 professors are here. 20, how many are there? 20, 30 professors are sitting here. If the
Yes, sir.
BBMP commissioners ask you that this is the situation, you please study and give me some suggestions what I should do to prevent the flooding in Bangalore city. How are you going to suggest him? What should be done immediately?
So we should be ready to face the consequences.
You have to tell him that these are the areas, these are the vulnerable spots in Bangalore city. Entire Bangalore city is not vulnerable to floods. Like very well planned area, inner area is not vulnerable to floods because it was well planned earlier. Now the new areas which were added to the Bangalore cities of late are causing all the flooding problem in the Bangalore city. So why it is causing? Because they are unplanned. They are constructed without any consideration to the disasters. So therefore, it is all causing the entire, like IT corridor is there in IT-BT corridor. So it is.
Sir, I think it is not only development; it is a bureaucratic setup, and I can say the structure, the government.
Now, you are right. Actually, they allowed the. See,
That's it.
whatever it is, illegal
They
construction.
know everything. They know everything. It's not that they don't know.
They don't
ಅವ್ರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ
know.
ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ. They know everything, but even then, if that is happening, ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, it is beyond the system that is working.
Now, if the BBMP commissioner asks us to give some suggestions, actionable points for implementation, what are the 2 or 3 implementable, actionable points that implementable actions which you can suggest for Bangalore city? Bangalore city has got a climate action plan for BBMP. Today they have said they set up a cell. Deputy Chief Minister said that there is a BBMP climate cell, is a climate action cell is there, action plan and cell also for taking care of the climate actions. So that is one thing. So that means what it does, climate action cell, when they set up today itself, they have launched it today itself. They have 269 points, out of which they have 50% of the points will be implemented by this BBMP cell, climate action cell. What will be the possible actions they are going to do? One is that they have to prevent the flood itself. Flooding, how are they going to do that flooding? Maybe they have to, rainwater harvesting should be properly implemented in most of the buildings. Second is that, the drainage system, blocking of the drainage system should be removed. Then detention ponds, Kerekatte, all these water tanks, natural water bodies should be properly rejuvenated, desilted. Solid waste which is dumped inside the drains should be removed. Inlet points, etc. on the roads should be properly cleaned, maintained, including the spacing of the inlet points. Then what are the other points you can give? Suppose the certain area is being flooded every year. Out of 8 zones in Bangalore city, if there are 4 zones which are likely to be affected, like IT corridor and others, because they are the most important places, but they are getting flooded every year. What are you going to do? So you have to give the data to the BBMP. What are the data that you are going to give information from the area? What is the population likely to be inundated? How many houses are likely to be inundated? Why their drains are in? What is the capacity of the drains to take up such a quantity of water? If there any need for any sensors there on the drains, so that level of water is known to them every day, every minute, so that during the rainfall, during the next 3 days, what is the rainfall and what is the quantity of water that is flowing in the drains? Is it going to cause any flooding, inundation across the entire road and around?
So how many lakes have been acquired?
How many lakes have been?
That is built on. So that is also should be considered.
So how much was the area? How much is to be how much has been encroached? How much has to be cleared? Illegal construction, if there are any, that also information is needed on the drains and vulnerable spots. So even sensors, even flood modeling. Flood modeling means you can use GIS technology, remote sensing technology for flood modeling, how the water is moving from one place to another place, how it is causing the flood, and what are the areas which are obstructing the flow of water. All that information, if we give to the BBMP, they will be able to take up the implementation. Just I am telling you, these are the important data that needs to be given to commissioner, so that at least 1 or 2 things immediately they can start this year. Like
Sir,
that.
Sir, one more thing. I think probably we all have traveled to Bangalore, or we'll be traveling to Bangalore. So most of the time we come across the mountains, the rocks, that are like look like a hill nearby Ramanagar. Okay, now it has been totally disappeared.
Yeah.
So that is the best example how we are utilized for our purpose, without thinking of second thought that okay, it is our natural resource which is required for us. So it's overutilized actually. So that is also a disastrous situation where naturally we have exploited everything.
Yeah, most of the greeneries, they should maintain that entire, because the garden city of India, they should maintain the tag. So that is one thing. Why it was a garden city? Because there were more lakes, there a lot of water was there. So they have encroached the land and put up some construction there. So that has to be seen very seriously. Lakes should be brought back to their position, at least 50% of them. There were many lakes and only 30% have left now. So they have to look into this point. So all these important issues they have to address. So importantly, most important action points are that whether they can go for some detention ponds, some sumps along the road, so that water can be along the road means there is no space. What will you do? If there is any park around, then can you store the water, excess water in the sump in a park? Because park is there are a lot of land is there, so space is there, at least you can do that. Something like that, they have to start. Otherwise, water will be on the road only. It will stay in the water in the road only during the rainy season. Just 60 to 70 mm rainfall in 1 hour, 1 or 2 hours will lead to 3 to 4 feet depth of water on the road. So how are you going to manage this kind of water if it is there, continuous rainfall is there? Very, very difficult. On 6th of September 2022, all 8 zones were receiving rainfall, and about 21 locations, important locations in Bengaluru, were inundated for more than 7 days. Imagine every day loss to the people, livelihoods, industrial loss, economic condition, etc. Bangalore being the highest contributor to the economy of the country, you can see if it is 7 days, if it is stagnated, completely halted economy. If the people are on the road, what will happen? If they are inundated. So this is the situation actually of a disaster. That is why I took this Bengaluru case. It is going to be common for all the cities, because Bengaluru is similar to any other cities, Chennai or Mumbai or Kolkata or any other tier 2 cities also. Tier 2 cities are also facing floods now. So we need to inform the people, actually, the commissioners of the municipalities. As long as people are aware, these things can be minimized. Otherwise, if we keep quiet, we also indulge in such activities, then nobody will save us from the disasters. Development and disaster management should go together. What is mean by that? Every scheme of the government, every housing scheme, every health scheme, every any other economic scheme of the government must take into account the disaster risk reduction component. Suppose you are building a housing project. What is the disaster risk reduction component in it? Okay, don't worry. If you are building a college, a hostel, what is the disaster risk reduction component? Building a college is a development project. It is required. Building a school is a development project. It is required. What is the disaster risk reduction component in it? How can you reduce the disaster risk in the same project? You must think about it. Does it lead to any disaster risk there? If you construct a building like this, where is the location of the building? First of all, location of the building, is it located on the vulnerable area? Or by constructing the building, it will lead to disaster? With the quality of the building, materials, etc. Everything we should look into that. If the building itself is located very near to the vulnerable point, then that itself is a disaster. So how you are locating the building? Recently, one medical college was built in Kodagu, medical institution in Kodagu district. So they are located in a vulnerable point, actually. It is a landslide prone area, and they constructed the huge building there. And 2018 flood landslide, the building experienced a large number of cracks. Now it is very difficult for them to see. It is a medical institution, and how doctors will be there, patients will be there. What will be the situation of them now? It has cracked, actually, structural cracks, vertical cracks, horizontal cracks, pillar cracks. Everything is there. What they are going to do with that huge building? They spent crores of rupees, and now it has developed the cracks. That is why I am saying development is also required, and you should see what are the vulnerabilities if they do go there. What is the risk, disaster risk? So if your college building is coming in such areas, is there any disaster risk? All these things you have to see. So don't allow the building just come up there. We should not allow the buildings to come. Lakhs of houses are constructed by the government without considering the disaster risk. We give 5 lakhs rupees, 2 lakhs rupees to construct the buildings, and the contractor will construct those buildings without looking into the disaster risk, whether earthquake resistance, whether it's flood resistance, whether cyclone resistance. Nothing is taken into account. They just put up some walls, mortar and walls, bricks, mortars, and they go away. Without looking into the foundation, without looking into the earthquake vulnerable, disaster resistance, etc. If you are building lakhs of houses every year like this, if an earthquake is to happen, if it happens, or what will happen to them? What has exactly happened in Latur? What happened in Bhuj, Kilari, etc. will happen again in case of any such major disaster. So this is the problem, actually. So we still, we are talking about this since 90s. I don't know how much we have improved, but still we need to improve a lot. If you want to reduce the disaster risk to at least 5% every year. So that is the problem. That may be possible, actually. 5% may be possible. What should be done for the existing buildings? What should be done for the future buildings? Everything you should look into. watch the little things. A small leak will sink a great ship. So this is very important actually from the disaster point of view. We have written many books here actually, so you can also go through them from the website of ATI. So I'll just my presentation is over. Now you can ask questions and we can answer them. No problem. Now I'll go through like this informally. If I ask you a question, you are working in a college, like assistant professors and other associate professors may be there. How are you going to prepare a disaster management action plan? What are the steps to be followed? Suppose you have taken today 2-hour session. We discussed that what is hazard, what is disaster, or how the disaster is managed, what are the different types of disasters, how the institutions are vulnerable. We have discussed all that now. Suppose you are supposed to manage your own college, you need to be free from disasters. How are you making your college free from disaster risks?
The orientation towards the building plan to all the people who are part and parcel of the organization, and they should know the each and every entries exist and exit and everything, and they should also know the areas where prone areas, like the dangerous prone areas, they should be aware about it, and they should also be educated to the how to protect themselves and rescue themselves as you like Japan, like the school children are going to be equipped with the materials and the knowledge, so that should be there. And also as like fire, if at all example, like almost all we all have seen if any fire happens, there will be immediate an action to be taken case, so that we keep the materials where and how to operate those materials and the instruments, so that the knowledge and the skills should be installed in the each and every person. It is not only the students or not only the faculties or only the security people should be having aware of it, but everyone should be aware about all these usage of instruments and everything. So, and also one should have a proper clarity about how well the construction of our organization building is. So whether with the materials and all, whatever it may be, so how well it has been constructed and at what level it has been constructed, and what is the magnitude of the problems that we may face if it is going to be occurred, any disastrous situation is going to be occurred. And also we should be aware about the surroundings of the areas, okay, where we may be affected by the situations. Okay, it might be a natural a disastrous situation, or it might be the man-made disastrous situation. So one should be cautious about all these things. So one should be equipped with all these information, so there we can prevent certain kind of calamities or dangerous situations or losing of lives that can be minimized, sir.
Thank you,
Yes,
Dr.
sir, I
Nagesh.
think I can add to Nagesh,
Yeah.
sir's
Who is the
comment.
other one? Who is speaking?
This is Rashmi Arya, sir.
After
Everybody's
Dr. Nagesh,
responsibility, sir,
Rashmi
actually.
madam, yeah, you can just
So
tell
we
one
cannot simply
I
blame
can
the
I just
government
want to
to
add
take
up to.
action.
I just want to add up to
one by
this.
one, sir. One by one.
Same
ನಾನು
time we should
ಹೇಳಿರೋದಕ್ಕೆ
educate
add
the
up
people.
ಮಾಡಿ add
Yeah,
ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ
please add
school
Rashmi
level.
madam, you start.
And
ಆ,
also we should
ನಾಗೇಶ್
need to
ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು
implement
ನಾಗೇಶ್
some
ಸರ್
of the
ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು ಅಷ್ಟು
technical
ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಇದೆ.
arrangement. For example,
ಆದ್ರೆ
if the
Rashmi
bus
madam,
capacity is
Shivkumar
more
sir,
than
ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ.
50 means bus should not move.
Shivkumar sir, I'll come back to you.
Like the technology must be adopted in almost all the transportation facilities, even schools and colleges. Educating small children is the most important.
Okay,
So
thank
that
you, sir. Thank you. Now we'll go to the Rashmi.
generation, so that
Yeah.
through them we can able to mitigate all the problems in future days.
Thank you, sir.
So
Thank you.
as you said, conducting quiz examination and even essay writing competition and drama, one act play, all these things are added.
Yeah,